Chapter 12, The Terrace. The terrace was the only part of Birkin House that still held warmth, not physical warmth. The morning air was cool, the stone tiles damp beneath Nesrine's boots, but a lingering echo of something softer. Laughter, wine, sunlight, the kind of memories that cling to a place long after the people who made them have gone. Arthur stepped out behind her, shielding his eyes from the pale light. The storm had scrubbed the sky clean, leaving it a washed-out blue that made the sea look almost gentle. Almost. Nesrine walked to the edge of the terrace, resting her hands on the salt-roughened railing. From here, she could see the private cove, the cliff path, the restless line where the tide met the rocks. She could also see the faint scrape marks left by the sixth guest's boat, the last trace of his careful, desperate choreography. Arthur joined her. Hard to believe what happened here. Nesrine nodded. This was their place, their sanctuary. And his exile, Arthur said. She turned to look at the terrace properly now. The long table, weathered by years of sun and salt, the empty wine rack built into the wall, the faded cushions on the wrought iron chairs. Everything was arranged as though waiting for a summer gathering that would never come. She imagined them here, the five friends laughing too loudly, drinking too much, leaning into each other with the ease of people who believed their bonds were unbreakable. And him, the sixth, hovering at the edge, smiling when they looked his way, fading when they didn't. Arthur walked to the table, running his fingers along the grooves carved into the wood. Someone scratched something here. Nesrine joined him, words faint but legible, etched into the grain. We were six, Arthur exhaled. He wrote that. No, Nesrine said quietly. One of them did. Arthur looked at her. How do you know? She touched the carving, her fingertips tracing the uneven letters. The handwriting is different, softer, hesitant. Someone wrote this years ago. Someone who wanted to believe they were whole. Arthur frowned. Then why did they leave him out? Nesrine stepped back, letting the terrace settle around her. Because belonging isn't symmetrical. One person can feel part of a group, while another feels like an afterthought. Arthur nodded slowly, and he was the afterthought. Always, she said. She walked to the far corner of the terrace, where a small wooden bench sat beneath a trellis of dead vines. A cushion lay there, sun-bleached and frayed. She lifted it. Underneath was a photograph, weathered, curled at the edges, forgotten. She held it up to the light. 6 people stood on this very terrace. Younger, brighter, sun-drenched. The 5 victims clustered together, arms around each other, laughing. And the 6th standing slightly apart, smiling at the camera with a hope that made Nesrine's chest tighten. Arthur stepped beside her. He kept this hidden. No, she said. They did. Arthur's brow furrowed. Why hide it? Because it told the truth, Nesrine said, that he was always on the outside, that they knew it, that they didn't fix it. She placed the photograph on the table. Arthur watched her. You think they meant to hurt him? No, she said, but neglect can wound deeper than cruelty. The sea murmured below, a soft, rhythmic pulse. Arthur leaned against the railing. So this is where it began. And where it ended, Nesrine said. She looked out at the horizon, the line where the sky met the sea. The storm had passed, but the air still carried the weight of what had happened. The echo of footsteps on the cliff path. The final whisper before the fall. Arthur's voice was quiet. What do you do with a story like this? You tell it, Nesrine said. Honestly, without villains, without heroes, just people who failed each other. Arthur nodded. And him? Nesrine closed her eyes briefly. He wanted to be remembered, and he will be, but not the way he imagined. They stood in silence, the terrace holding them gently, as though offering a moment of peace before the world intruded again. Below, the tide began to rise. Above, Birkin House watched. No longer hostile, no longer hungry, simply tired. And Nesrine Boudaoud, who had spent her life listening to the things people tried to hide, felt the story settling inside her like a stone dropped into deep water. Not finished, but understood.